Hello and welcome. My name is Michael. I'm running the Board Games Chronicle blog. I'm also doing this YouTube channel where I'm presenting to you various games and playthroughs and how to play. Today I have a pleasure to run the fifth engagement scenario for the Pacific War. GMT's Pacific War, author Mark Herman. We go through all the engagement scenarios step by step, one by one, learning the rules in the process and also showing the game mechanics. We already went through the first four. You can find the links below. Today we have a fifth scenario, so battle for Imphal and Kohima. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Hopefully I do. It's March 1944, and the theme of the scenario is a huge Japanese offensive which was supposed to take Burma entirely and then to hit into the India. Historically, it ended in a complete disaster. This small engagement scenario will not bring a lot of roles and a lot of learning opportunities as far as the gameplay is concerned, but it's a very, very good learning scenario regarding the terrain, the movement, the possibilities, also the strategic implications of orders from the higher command to the divisions, and also a history learning of how impossible this attack was. So what situation do we have? Here we have the Japanese forces, 33rd Division, and here two divisions. They are without any losses. Here we have one of our victory points. It's Imphal and Kohima. Here we have stationed two Indian divisions and armor brigade, and here we have Indian division. So now, first of all, let's look at the terrain. This is a mixed terrain. This is a clear terrain. We have rivers. We have also transport roads. These are the railroads. And we have also the mountains here and the jungle here. Important note regarding this scenario: after publishing the game, an errata was made for the move part of the rules. In previous rules, there was no possibility to enter the mountain hex other than via transport route, so only from this part here. What that meant for this scenario? In this scenario, we have only two battle cycles. During each battle cycle, all the ground units can move, and after the two battle cycles, if both Imphal and Kohima are occupied by Japanese, they won. With the old rules, this was impossible. I will show you in a moment why it was so. The new rule says that you can enter the mountain hex. Yes, you can, only provided that you are on an adjacent hex with a transport road. So those hexes with river allows you to get uphill onto the mountain. Before this errata, what was possible for those Japanese divisions, let me show it to you, was, for example, with 33rd, move two hexes here. They could move two hexes here because it's a mixed terrain with a river. One hex here and one hex here, for example. And with those only move from that hex to that hex with a cost of 6, then attack Kohima, and that was all. There was truly no possibility to attack the mountain hex. Now we have such a possibility, and we should probably try to play it that way and try to take this, but also to take the other hex. Okay, let me just check quickly if we have any other special rules of the engagement scenario 5. As always, we have all the details put here. It is pretty quick scenario, 10 minutes max. So the Japanese player wins if he captures Imphal and Kohima. The Japanese lose with any other result. So there is there are a lot of rules will be irrelevant, only the grand movement and grand battles. So we go through the 2 battle cycles. Lightning has no impact on this scenario. It will impact, for example, air units. We don't have air units here. When we have advantage determination, the scenario says the advantage is automatically with Japanese. When we have advantage movement, and yes, this is something which we would like to do. We would like to attack both hexes, probably in the second turn. Quality of our troops is not the best one. And here's the larger stack, and we can expect some reaction. So let's move this here. 6 movement points, and those guys move here. Yeah, and be ready for the attack. When we have advantage air mission, no missions. When we have naval combat, there is no naval combat, no bombardment, no ground combat in the first battle cycle. Airfield recovery, no. Rally, no. Now we have disadvantage movement. Probably the British would like slightly to realign their units. For example, sending the brigade here and leaving those guys here. And there will be no more actions during this battle cycle. Now, we have now the second battle cycle. We again go for the lightning, no advantage determination, movement. In a movement phase, we would like to move with those Japanese up here. This is allowed with errata rules, and those Japanese here. And we would have 2 grand combats, and this is the most important part of this scenario and the learning part. So let me just put the opposing units. Yeah, this is the Imphal hex, and here we have opposing unit and the Kohima hex. Yeah, we just move through all of those phases up to the grand combat. We have a grand combat pretty nicely described in the rules. I went through this in the last scenario that was an attack on Burma. So what we'll be doing, we'll be determining the quality of the troops, the ratio, then the column. Later on, we will also do a shift of columns based on the terrain. Lastly, we'll roll a die and see where we are within this table. Then we'll check whether there is a retreat. A mandatory retreat could happen. And the losses on both sides. First of all, losses for the combat. Secondly, for the retreat. Yes, fine. So we need to decide on the lead units in both fights. Let's start with Imphal. It's better to have a lead units with a high troops quality. So let's assume those are our lead units, 5 and 5. The attacker troop quality is 5. The defender troop quality is 5. So we land at the column 10. 10 is just in the middle of the combat resolution table. This is the first thing. So troop quality modifiers. We don't have any. We just had a ratio. Then we have the column shift. Depending on the type of the terrain. Here, mixed or mountain, we move 3 columns to the left. So we were at 10, we moved to 7. Let me just mark it, that we are in column 7. Yeah. What does it mean? That means that in order to push the British from this hex, we need to roll 0. The red color shows where we have a mandatory retreat of a defender. On all white part of the combat resolution table, we can stay, and the blue means that we need to retreat, yeah, from here. We need to calculate how many steps takes part in the combat, and depending on this number, we'll be looking at the losses of here 2/5, 6/16, over 17. It's pretty obvious that we have over 17, 26 on the side of Japanese, 22 on the side of British. If we would have a huge size difference, this table would allow us to modify a die roll. So a terrain modifies the columns, the size differentiation, the size ratio modifies the roll. So we'll be rolling now with 0. We will achieve a huge success. Any other result means we fail this scenario, as it historically happened. We roll 8, so we have a really poor roll for attackers. Now we need to check this mandatory retreat with troop quality check. We roll for a leading unit, which has 5. If we roll up to 5, we will stay. We will have an option actually to stay, because the rule says if the unit passes its check, it can do either of the following. We'll retreat all units, lose only half of the steps as called by the combat resolution table, or we can remain in the hex and lose the full amount of those hits. We would prefer probably to move back, and instead of losing 6, to lose 3, because we round up. Okay, no, doesn't matter. Let's stay here. We'll stay at the hex with a full hit, and there will be also hit here. So we would have a huge stack here, a contested hex. Remember, in Pacific War, you can have hexes shared by the countries. The second battle will be also very difficult. The quality of defender is 6, the quality of attacker is 4. So if we look here, attacker troop quality is 4, defender is 6. We go, excuse me, attacker troop quality is 4, defender is 6. So we go to 8. Then we move 3 columns for the terrain. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's really getting very bad. And we can potentially have the armor modificator. This is an optional rule to the game. We should have optional rule, yes. If one side has an armor advantage, we have, because there are armors only on one side. 1 column shift left. There are we move to 4, but the columns 0 to 5 are similar. So the number of steps is okay, 22, 25, so it's still more than 17. And we can have a really poor roll, but there is a possibility on the roll of 0 to win this battle. Yeah, as always. Let's see if we can make it. Of course not. 5 goes here, and we have a mandatory retreat. Let's do the troop quality check. 7, we failed. So we need to take 7 hits. If I remember, yeah, if a unit fails its check, it must immediately retreat 1 hex, loses 1 steps as called for by CRT. Okay. So beautiful. They move back. Yeah. There are no losses on the defending side. Actually, they were here, yeah. That concludes our scenario. If we look at the result, we have simply huge losses on the Japanese side, very small on the British side, and of course, as historically, we lost the scenario. What I want to show to you in this scenario is how you can move using the transport routes. It always costs 2, so not 6 here. Also, what I wanted to show to you is this errata rule, which is very important when fighting next to the mountains, but you can enter the mountain hex not through the transport road, but if you are standing on the transport road hex. And also, that was a learning in history how completely crazy this attack was. Thank you for today. I will be back with the next scenario. We'll move once again to the naval fight and naval combat. If you like this video, please give thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, I kindly ask you to subscribe. It's very important for such a small content creator like the Board Games Chronicle. Thank you and bye for today.